No, I'm not counting the number of national titles that the UConn men's basketball team has won since 1999. Rather, I'm counting the number of home runs that the UConn baseball team hit in their 2 midweek contests. Those are just 2 of the many games that we will discuss further in this week's episode of Hooksy Happenings. It has been over a month since the last episode came out. A lot of reasonable madness occurred in that span, but not just in college basketball. UConn and Auburn did not meet in either March Madness, but they did meet 3 times in Alabama. The Tigers won 2 out of the 3 games, but Gabe Van Emmen had his breakout game in the middle match of the series with 5.1 shutout innings in relief of Ian Cook. The Huskies then went to Santa Barbara and lost all 3 games to the then number 25 UCSB Gauchos. 2 days later, they went to Los Angeles and took on the UCLA Bruins. Luke Broadhurst broke a 1-1 tie in the top of the 6th with a towering 3-run shot to left field. Brandon Quinn pitched 3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen and struck out 7 of the 10 batters he faced for his first save of the season in a 5-2 win. The following evening, UConn went to Riverside. Ben Shiloh pitched 6 shutout innings and struck out 9 in his first career quality start. 4 different Huskies recorded 2 or more hits, led by Ryan Daniels' 3-run jack as part of his 3-for-4 evening. UConn's pitching surrendered just 2 base knocks for a 5-0 victory over the then number 22 UC Irvine Anteaters. It looked like the momentum of winning 2 road games had stopped when the Cal Baptist Lancers smothered Connecticut 8-1. That was before Garrett Cole tossed a complete game shutout the following evening, and the Hooksies scored 4 runs in the 8th in the rubber match for a critical series win over the Lancers. While they fell to the Rhode Island Rams in Kingston, a 6-run second and 4-run fifth propelled Connecticut to a thrilling home opener victory over the Long Island University Sharks. Stephen Quigley, who we will get to in a second, tossed his own complete game performance that salvaged the Huskies' gritty 3-game set with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights 4 days later. Connecticut began their current homestand with consecutive losses to Beantown foes. The Boston College Eagles conquered Elliot Ballpark behind Cam Leary's grand slam, while Northeastern held off the Hooksies' 9th inning rally. Having Easter weekend off prepared UConn for Central Connecticut State, who they defeated 14-6 behind Tyler Minnick's grand salami. 4 days later, the Huskies began Big East play. The Musketeers scored 5 times in the first and 4 times in the third for all 9 of their runs. The Huskies staged a late rally with 3 homers in the final 2 frames, 2 of which came off the bat of Maddox Deleta. It was too little too late, however. UConn lost 9-5. The following evening, Garrett Cole tossed 7.1 innings and allowed just 4 hits despite striking out nobody. The Huskies struck first this time around with 3 runs in the first and scored in 4 out of the next 7 innings. Delena demolished his 3rd home run in 2 games. UConn evened the series 8-2. Stephen Quigley went toe-to-toe with 4 different Musketeers pitchers across 7 scoreless innings the following afternoon. Paul Tamaro broke the ice with a go-ahead RBI single in the 8th. Matt Garbowski caught Donovan Canterbury stealing for a 1-0 UConn victory and their first series victory in conference play. 2 days later, the Bryant Bulldogs got their 1 run in the top of the 4th on Carmine Petosa's RBI single off Ben Shield. Every other UConn pitcher combined to allow just 1 hit. Both of Maddox Delena's base knocks were RBI doubles. Luke Broadhurst went yard twice with his 2nd homer, enforcing the 10-run mercy rule in a 12-1 Huskies win. Jake Marquez blasted a 2-run shot in the top of the 2nd the following afternoon. UConn subsequently scored 20 runs against the Maine Black Bears. Head coach Jim Penders used 7 different pitchers, of whom combined for 8 strikeouts and 4 walks. 9 runs scored in the 2nd, 7 runs scored in the 3rd. The Huskies held on for a 20-2 victory in 7 innings. I just recapped 20 games. There were 2 key performers that stood out to me. The first of those was Stephen Quigley. Quigley against Rutgers in that Sunday finale pitched a complete game. He allowed 1 run on 5 hits, walked 1, and struck out 4. He got the win. And then 2 weeks later, against Xavier, he pitched 7 shutout innings, allowed 7 hits, but struck out 7 despite walking 2. He got the no decision because UConn scored their 1 run in the 8th. These 2 games have proven that he's really playing like the preseason pitcher of the year. And if UConn continues to get performances like that from their 2nd-year graduate righty, then their pitching is going to be incredibly dangerous. On the hitter side, it was Luke Broadhurst. This might be some recency bias, but if you look at his midweek performances, 3 of 5 against Bryan on Tuesday, perfect against Maine in 3 at-bats on Wednesday, 3 homers in those 8 at-bats, and 6 combined RBIs. He's just one of the many pieces that's heating up for UConn's offense. And I haven't even mentioned the rest. There's Matt Garbowski, Corey Morton, Jake Studley. They're all getting hot at the right time. And what might be the right time, you ask? A 3-game set against one of the top teams in the Big East, the St. John's Red Storm. St. John's in 2024 is 22-5-1. They are a perfect 3-0 in the Big East. They just swept Villanova last weekend. They do have a notable win under their sleeves. They beat the number 2 Florida Gators, the national runners-up, the team UConn lost to in the regional last year in Gainesville. Now, it was originally a 3-game set, but the other 2 contests were canceled due to rain. So you could say that St. John's swept that 1-game series. Speaking of wins, St. John's has won 16 out of their last 18 non-conference games. Before Villanova, the Red Storm swept the Hofstra Pride and the Rider Broncos. Just right away, this is going to be a huge offensive matchup, and it's not because UConn scored 32 runs in their 2 midweek contests. Just look at the numbers. St. John's has 309 hits, 243 runs, 75 doubles, and 13 triples. All of those numbers exceed UConn's in most capacities. The one category that UConn does have the edge is home runs. UConn has 39, St. John's has 22. But the key in this game, the key in this series, if you will, it's going to come down to speed. And I kind of said this with Auburn, but just look at the numbers, specifically stolen bases. St. John's has 45 stolen bases, UConn has 41. What it's going to come down to is who's on the base paths more. Whichever team can steal more bags this weekend will win the series. Now, St. John's is batting .314 as a team, and they have 6 offensive hitters who will be key to watch as they can do damage at the plate. It starts with Jackson Tucker. Tucker enters this weekend on an 11-game hitting streak with a .316 batting average, 36 hits, 34 runs, 11 doubles, 26 RBIs. That's a little less intimidating than, say, a Jimmy Keaton. 6 hits in his last 5 games, but .376 batting average, 41 hits, 34 RBIs, 12 doubles, 6 homers. He's kind of about as dangerous at the plate as Ben Buchan. 9 hits in his last 4 games. He's batting .359 with 37 hits, 21 RBIs, 11 doubles. Then you've got Blake Mayberry. 4 extra base hits in his last 4 games. A .422 batting average, 35 hits, 24 RBIs, 12 doubles, 6 homers. Not far off from that is Luke Broadhurst. 5 hits in his last 5 games. Batting .315, yes, but he has 19 RBIs and 7 doubles. Lastly, there's Anthony Brienza. He had 1 hit in all 3 games versus Villanova. He's batting .307 with 31 hits, but he has 20 RBIs and, hear this, 4 triples. Now those are some of the key offensive pieces to watch. What's it going to be like on the mound? Well, if you watched last week's series against Xavier, it's going to be more of the same. We'll start with Friday's pitching matchup between Gabe Van Emmen and Xavier Colosser. Van Emmen has lost each of his last 4 starts, but he's looking for a major rebound this time around as the team's supposed ace. Colosser, meanwhile, has recorded a decision in every start this season. He last allowed 5 runs in 5.1 innings versus Villanova last weekend, but that was after 2 consecutive 7 scoreless innings of work in non-conference play. On Saturday, it's going to be Garrett Coe versus Evan Chafee. UConn has won both games when Coe pitches into the 7th. That includes Coe's complete game shutout in California, but at the same time, UConn has also lost their last 2 games when Coe doesn't pitch into that inning. Seems like coincidence? Maybe it is. As for Chafee, he last pitched 5.2 scoreless innings against the Wildcats. He struck out 2 and earned the win there. Sunday, it's Stephen Quigley versus Mario Pesca. Quigley is pitching like the preseason pitcher of the year, as I mentioned earlier in the show. He pitched to the 7th in each of his last 2 weekend starts. That includes his Rutgers and Xavier performances. As for Pesca, the Red Storm have not lost a game he has started this season. That could be critical to watch, as this could be the rubber match in this weekend's series. Pesca last pitched 5.1 scoreless innings versus Villanova for the win on Sunday. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Hooksy Happenings. Until next time, this has been Cole Steffen. Let's play ball!